Hello and welcome back to South Park Explained on No Bullshit. Today we're talking about a brand spanking new episode of South Park called Buddha Box. And this one's got it all too. Not only do we see the boys tackle issues like anxiety, mental health, and smartphone addictions, there's also a great subplot surrounding the PC babies, who break out of their house in order to go around town and protest non-politically correct things, like bar drinks named after races. Important shit like that. This one's gonna be a doozy, and it's already gotten the leftists watching really triggered too. And I'm gonna tell you why and more here on South Park Explained. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Things start off with Cartman talking about all the problems in South Park lately that are stressing him out. He immediately begins going over some of the crazy events that happened earlier this season, like the violence at school, or the Wi-Fi scooters that took over town, and the fact that Man Bear Pig is now real and could kill everyone in a matter of years. Cartman is telling all of this to what is obviously his new therapist, and although this first recap sounds pretty serious, Eric next turns to complain about more normal things. He says the only thing that calms him down anymore is his smartphone, but people like his mom, friends, and teachers all keep trying to pull him away from his phone. The therapist then quickly diagnoses Cartman with anxiety. He says everyone is getting it these days, and he even describes anxiety as an excuse to be lazy and lame to everyone around you. Cartman of course embraces this, and now we can clearly see South Park is about to bash the overabundant amount of anxiety claims out there in the world today. And I have to say, I've been seeing this everywhere too. Everyone these days is claiming anxiety or some other kind of mental health problem, and it's usually used as an excuse to act lame too, like what South Park says. They're spot on here, and this couldn't be a better time to address this too, especially on YouTube. This website only just put the whole BetterHelp scandal behind us. If you hadn't heard, dozens of YouTubers got a lot of shit recently for promoting a scam website called BetterHelp. The YouTubers would go and make videos about all these mental health problems they have, and then conveniently at the end share links to a company who would promptly profit off of this, if the viewers had them too. And this not only showed how so many YouTubers were claiming to have mental issues, like our boy Ethan Klein at H3H3 for example, but also it showed that there was even a company out there trying to profit off of this new everyone is messed up in their heads craze. It's a trend. Yes, the BetterHelp scandal was a whole big fiasco, which we don't need to or have time to get into entirely here, but for today's purposes, I thought it was completely relevant to bring this up. South Park is calling out this new trend of fake or at least over-exaggerated mental health problems, and there's also the growing need for everyone to share their mental health diagnoses publicly, which we'll get into soon as well. But first, let's turn back to today's episode for now. The B story quickly begins after this, and this part is just as hilarious and relevant as the fake anxiety stuff. PC Principal and Strong Woman return today, and of course, they can't go anywhere without their 5 PC babies. And as always, this group represents all the politically correct culture that's taking over the world now, especially in the US. Not only are young, right out of college adults pushing this crap like PC Principal and Strong Woman, but also the next generation is taking on the PC culture at birth, like how the PC babies show. In this scene, we see the parents struggling to handle their little ones. They are also still hiding their babies and their relationship from the public, which becomes another big stressor on everything. You see, Strong Woman says it perfectly at the end of this scene. If the town finds out she had PC Principal's babies, it would prove that she's not strong, and he is not politically correct. Let me explain. You see, last season, PCP hooked up with Strong Woman despite it going against everything they stand for. PC Principal is supposed to be politically correct, but hooking up with coworkers is not allowed according to his dogmatic ideology. And the same goes for Strong Woman. She's supposed to be strong and independent, and hooking up with your boss is not something a person like that would do. And that pretty much sums up their backstory. And I think their new story in today's episode is just as interesting. Like what Strong Woman said, if people find out about their kids, they will realize their personas are all a lie. And I think this can be used as an analogy for real strong women and PC people in the real world. Liberals and leftists and PC pushers claim to have all these high morals and holier than thou lifestyles, but in reality, they don't end up following them, at least not completely. Strong Woman and PC Principal don't practice what they preach, and I think a lot of the other liberals out there like them in the real world, they usually do this too. They're all a bunch of hypocrites. Next, we turn back to Eric Cartman. He's on his phone at a restaurant where he immediately starts getting triggered when a waiter simply asks him for his order. Next, another customer asks Eric to lower his phone's volume, which really sets him off. Cartman starts yelling and telling everyone he has anxiety now, and that means that he has trouble being around assholes who won't leave him alone. And here's where we get to the other angle of this anxiety, mental health commentary. Not only is South Park making fun of people and therapists for saying everyone has mental health problems these days, but also there's a new need to tell everyone about your problems in public. This is usually done to excuse bad behavior and to get sweet victim points as well. As I said before, H3H3 on YouTube has been guilty of this repeatedly. He's made numerous apology videos after controversies, where he tries to use his supposed depression to excuse his mistakes. But that's just one example. Ethan is certainly not alone on this one. Next, let's talk about more people claiming they have anxiety specifically. And that brings us to another YouTuber, Chris Raygun. When this undersized and underweight commentator isn't struggling to barely make one video a month, and when he's not hanging out with his feminist SJW girlfriend, well, Christopher likes to turn to Twitter and cry about his anxiety in his free time. That's right, he virtue signals about his mental health all the time, vying for public sympathy and victim points. Lacey Green really taught him well. This tweet, for example, came out just 5 days ago. That's less than a week before this latest anxiety-themed South Park episode we're talking about today. Coincidence? I think not. South Park is just dead on about this topic. They nailed it. Anxiety and the false or questionable claims being made for it, they're really getting out of control these days. And not only does Chris Raygun use his anxiety here to excuse his behavior just like how Cartman did, well, also, other beta soy boy YouTubers jumped in here and joined Chris in the replies of this tweet. Elvis the Alien, for example, claims anxiety cripples him constantly and says it's affecting what little work he does too, just like old Chrissy boy. And I have to say, I'm not that surprised. Weak-willed, wannabe victim liberals like this always pretend to have some kind of problem with their mental health. They love saying they're depressed or anxious, or, of course, there's also the rampant levels of bandwagon trans people out there. Being trans is a mental problem of sorts too, and, well, the growing levels of trans people and wannabe special snowflakes out there, they're all part of this problem as well.
Listen up, people! I have anxiety! That means I'm in my shell and have a hard time expressing myself! I find it difficult to engage with others!
Next, we finally get to see why this episode is called Buddha Box. A fake commercial comes on at this point, advertising this new product. Buddha Box is a brown box people can put over their heads. It connects to your phone via Bluetooth and projects the screen and sound inside of it, also blocking out sound and light from the outside. Essentially, the Buddha Box lets people with anxiety use their phones in peace, in public or at home. Cartman ends up wearing his Buddha Box in funny places too, like at school, in the restroom, or even in a soccer game, and eventually at a water theme park as well. And while Buddha Box people claim they're doing it because of their mental health problems, really they're just being dicks and don't want to talk to people. And also, there's another important theme here: smartphone addiction. This is something South Park has covered before here too. Like last year when they made fun of distracted drivers who would use their phone while driving and then get into accidents, even killing people sometimes, tragically. And also, a few weeks ago, earlier this season, South Park even touched upon this phone theme when they were doing their whole thing with Wi-Fi enabled e-scooters that needed a smartphone to operate. And now, in today's episode, South Park is really driving this point home. Smartphones might not be a world-changing problem right now, but it is hard to say they aren't becoming an issue sometimes. Often. Everyone has an iPhone or an Android at this point, and all the apps and social media things on there is getting out of control. People, especially kids, they prefer to be on their smartphones all day, ignoring the outside world almost completely. And this also goes hand in hand with all these false anxiety claims lately. A lot of this could easily be attributed to the overuse of smartphones, computers, and social media. Instead of going outside, meeting people in person, and dealing with the real world, people are on their phones too much and becoming sheltered and whiny and dysfunctional little babies. They can't handle the real world because they're never in it. Hence the inclination to start claiming mental health problems like anxiety, which will often be self-diagnosed by these losers using another app on their smartphones. Perfect. Next, PC Principal and Strong Woman get Buddha Boxes of their own, and being distracted by them is what leads to their PC babies running away and going outside and calling out other non-PC things in town. Check this out.
PC babies, they're coming to your town. PC babies, the wokest kids around. When there's something problematic, they're gonna let you know.
God, I love that song. It sets up this PC baby section perfectly, framing it like a kid's show or something. And I love all the non-PC references they get into. First, they cry about gendered bathrooms in the intro, which also mentions they are pro-gender neutral in the song. Then there's a clip where they cry because this woman has the wrong book. Huckleberry Finn is now a racist book by today's standards because of its portrayals and descriptions of black people. Next, the babies are in a bar where they start crying about drink descriptions. First, a guy offends them when he calls a Cosmopolitan a wussy drink, him using a slightly different term I won't say here. Then after the babies cry, he says he will switch to a drink called a Black Russian, which of course offends the babies even more. The PC babies go on to cry about other non-PC things in town too. They even have their first protest and they wind up making their own songs for the radio. Yeah, the PC babies are great here, and they're a good funny representation of how politically correct the new generation of American kids are becoming. Everything is sexist and everything is racist to them, and they have to call it out, just like how Sarkeesian said. And if you don't fall in in line with the PC police? They're gonna know because the PC babies will be crying. In the end, Kyle just can't stand Cartman's new Buddha box anymore, and also his new entitled attitude after getting fake diagnosed with anxiety. This leads to Kyle blowing up on Eric, going off on a long rant about how, in reality, everyone has anxiety. Everyone gets anxious and nervous in public, and everyone feels uncomfortable and awkward sometimes. The main difference, according to Kyle, is that most people just deal with it and they get over it eventually, as opposed to this new trend of people trying to claim it's a mental illness that excuses their bad behavior. And I have to say, I wholeheartedly agree with Kyle in South Park here. Anxiety is something everyone deals with at some level. Everyone deals with being anxious is what I mean. But that doesn't mean you have quote-unquote anxiety, like it's this big mental health disease. In reality, people like Eric Cartman or H3H3 or Chris Raygun, they're just normal people with normal problems many of us face. The main difference is, if it were me, you would never know or hear about my issues publicly. I don't have any problems, thank God, but even if I did, I know better than to try and share them with everyone, hoping for victim points and ass pats online. That's some really immature beta boy bullshit. Don't any of these guys have fathers around to teach them how to act like men? Jesus. And hey, you know what? Now that I think of it, Eric Cartman is notorious for not having a father figure, and I wouldn't be surprised if all these liberal YouTubers claiming mental health problems, they probably have daddy issues too, because even if they did have fathers, they didn't have good ones that taught them how to be strong men, who don't air out their dirty laundry in public.
I got news for you, Cartman. Everyone has anxiety. Everyone gets nervous. Everyone is afraid being around people. Everyone has feelings they'd rather stay home alone. And you know what they do? They get over it!
Next, Cartman takes Kyle's very accurate rant the wrong way. He thinks since everyone has anxiety, that he now needs to try and help fix everyone. This leads to him going full-fledged Buddhist, even shaving his head and pleading with the mayor to help him fix this issue, or non-issue. I assume this bit might come back in a later episode too, but for now, it pretty much ends here. The final scene of this episode sees PC principal and strong woman speaking to the school in the town in a meeting. They finally found their babies and they realize smartphone addiction has become a real issue. No one in town will hear them out though, as everyone is in their Buddha boxes now, not listening. This ending does have a bright side to it though. Now PC principal and strong woman don't need to hide their relationship anymore, since no one in town is paying attention anyway. So while the town's real problems with mental health virtue signaling and smartphone addiction, they're still going strong, but at least the PC principal family can end on a good note here. And I have to say, wow, this episode really knocked it out of the park for me. Not only were its messages and themes on point and highly relevant, but also the Buddha box and the PC baby jokes were hilarious. But it's also not surprising that some other reviewers didn't like this one, particularly the left-leaning ones. After searching online, I can see this episode is already triggering leftists real bad. Not only are they pissed that South Park razzed them in their false anxiety claims, but also some reviewers are claiming this episode went too hard on smartphone addiction, and I definitely disagree. But I'm not surprised they're upset either. So much of the bullshit liberal propaganda these days is based on taking advantage of mental health issues, whether it's propping up trans people, trying to squeeze them into everything, or on the other hand, they're telling everyone they're depressed and have anxiety in order to feel special and get victim points and excuse bad behavior. All of this is a big crutch in the left-wingers and their mindsets, and I'm happy to report that South Park and us, we've taken down their bullshit completely. What do you guys think? Did you like this episode? Have you noticed all the people claiming they have anxiety and other mental health issues these days? And what do you think about smartphone addiction? Is it a big problem? Comment your thoughts on everything below. And one more thing before we leave, don't forget to check out our Teespring store if you want to buy some shirts before Christmas time. We've got some awesome no bullshit designs, and we also have one that says it's okay to be right, as in right wing, or it's okay to be accurate and correct. Take your pick, but order them quick because Christmas is coming soon. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.